So maybe I'll just start, and hopefully it'll be less awkward as we progress. So yep. Just for everyone joining us, just a little bit of context. So my name is Damian Moratti. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Liminal VR. And I thought it'd be really great to have a very informal, unscripted chat today with our behavioural neuroscientist, Paola. Yeah, there's no real fixed agenda. Like, we do want to talk a little bit about the work we're doing in sleep, because we've had a lot of questions around that, and also speak more broadly around life at Liminal and the kind of workflow that we have. But maybe to start with, Paola, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. So my name is Paola Araiza-Alba. As you can tell by my accent, I'm not exactly from Australia, but now I became Australian, but I'm from Mexico. To talk about a little bit of my background, it's I'm a psychology in Mexico. I studied psychology in Mexico. I worked as a clinical psychologist in Mexico, and then I did my specialization in Spain, and then came here to do my PhD in health science, and started working with virtual reality and children's cognition. And then after that, I became member of Liminal VR, and now I'm the cognitive and behavioral neuroscientist at Liminal VR, where I do research and find science-based approaches to implement in the development of the liminal experiences. That's a really short and really concise introduction.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, so I think one of the reasons why I wanted to have this live chat, and we'll see how it actually plays out. If people can, if we're too choppy, or it says that the connection is poor, so hopefully the mechanics of the next one will be better. But I guess, like, from my perspective, Nick and myself are often the public facing faces of Liminal, and it's people like you, Paola, behind the scenes that are making all the magic happen, and people are constantly asking us about what life is like at Liminal, what we're working on, asking us about experiences that we've developed, and what plans we have and things like that. And yeah, I just thought it'd be really nice to just jump on LinkedIn, have a bit of a chat, like a water cooler chat, and hopefully give people a little bit of an insight as to who we are and what we do. But it might be worth actually touching on that in case someone has joined this who has no idea what the hell Liminal is and what we're talking about. So for those unfamiliar with Liminal, we're a virtual reality company based out of Melbourne, Australia, and we do lots of different things. But I guess our marquee product is the Liminal platform, which is a live app on Meta. So the Liminal platform is all about having a whole wide array of different categories of experiences that induce very specific emotional and cognitive states. So, we worked out very early on that there's something very unique to immersive technologies like virtual reality in the way that they affect you emotionally. And yeah, so we've been, for the last 9 years, we've been working, doing R&D and rapid prototyping, and then also testing and collecting data at scale as to what works and what doesn't. And we've been getting really amazing feedback from our users. So when we started off, many years ago, we would like a sample size of 20 was huge for us, and now we are working with millions of data points in different ways. So we have the Liminal platform, and then aside from that, been a self-funded company up until this point, we're also very lucky to have a wide range of clients that we deliver commercial projects for, that allows us to effectively fund everything that we're doing with Liminal. So if you are not familiar with Liminal and you have a Meta Quest 2 or a Quest Pro, please jump on the store and download it. It's free, and we currently have I think just over 100 experiences under 6 different categories. That's growing quickly. So I guess Paola, like one of the interesting things about Liminal, before we get into sleep specifically, I guess, is our approach to developing experiences too, right? Like we look at, for those who still maybe not 100% familiar with our workflow, we look at research and things that have been done in the VR space, and also things that have been done in other mediums, and also try to understand, I guess, high-level principles as to why certain things work and don't work, and then simplify it where with just a few sort of basic principles, you can create these experiences that can be very, very moving. And we have a global partnership program where we make our research available to schools and universities and other developers all around the world who want to learn how to or improve their ability to create these very emotionally moving experiences. So I guess, Paola, talking about sleep, there was a few challenges with sleep in virtual reality, right? Like on the you could understand how people would think the entire concept of sleep in VR was ridiculous, since you're wearing a big headset, that's not really compatible with dozing off. So maybe to clarify, when we are referring to the sleep category in Liminal, really what we're talking about is sleep preparation, or an aid to help you move you more towards sleep if you're struggling to sleep. But we're not for a second suggesting that people actually go to sleep wearing a Quest 2 on their head. So maybe, Paola, maybe if you wanted to speak to some of the challenges and opportunities with sleep, and I guess some of the discussions that we had leading up to the new category and our approach to it, and maybe things we had to consider, and maybe how it was different from some of the other categories.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Well, we're going to start telling people that is hearing to us today how this concept started, like the idea of sleep. Like there is a lot of people in the world needing some aids to get to sleep, and how important sleep is for life and for cognitive processing, right? Like we all know that sleep is a key for everyone performing well during the day. So that's one of the main goals, like that market. Then we decided to say, like, as you mentioned, you posted there in our Slack channel, we are doing sleep, and everyone was thinking sleep for virtual reality, really, like with virtual reality headsets, when you're supposed to not look at blue light at night when you're about to fall asleep. So then we started kind of the research process of, okay, how much blue light the headsets emit at night, or well, when you put it on, and then we started looking into, well, okay, what if we close our eyes, and how can we filter light through the eyelids, and make it more kind of logic to use virtual reality, because if you are using a headset, obviously what you expect is to have a visual stimulation and audio visual stimulation, right, basically. But if we close the eyes, what will that be? How would that look? And then, yeah, well, we found some research saying that, yeah, you can close your eyes and there is some type of light that can go through it and don't affect as much your sleep as blue light. So then we decided to go with that approach of having some experience with eyes closed, where you still have an audio-visual stimulation to help people to concentrate on the audio and the visuals that they are actually seeing, even though they have their eyes closed, and to help them to kind of forget about other things and focus on the meditation guided that is provided in some of the experiences, or in the just the colors and the calming sounds that some of the experiences have. Oh, sorry, I think that's basically it. We also decided maybe we could also integrate other visual experiences with certain specific design characteristics to avoid too much blue light, and obviously all the research behind to make sure that all what we use is science-based, basically, approach, like music and the colors that we use are kind of proved to be useful for helping people calm and relax.
Yeah, I think that's a really good synopsis. And I know in some ways the sleep arena has been posed more challenges than some of the other categories, for the reasons that you described. And also it's been a little bit more controversial in the sense that we do have a number of experiences that you use with your eyes closed, and we knew going into it that wouldn't be like universally loved. So I think one of the things that gave us confidence that there was the right direction is taking a data-driven approach as well. So looking at the psychometric results that we've been getting, which is basically feedback from our users in the calm arena, we noticed something interesting, that we took a bit of an experimental approach, I think around a year ago or something like that, and tried to do an eyes closed experience just to see really what kind of effect we could have through closed eyelids. Like, is that even a thing in VR? I know we did some some internal testing, but we'd never come across anything in the space where there was eyes closed like experiences. And then it performed relatively well, and it was just like one of the kind of weekly experiences that we released. And then going through the data too, after it'd been up for a while, it was really surprising that I think Unseen, which is the experience that I'm referring to, was number 4 in the entire calm category when you sort by relaxation. So it was really one of those situations where we took a bit of an experimental approach in the calm category. And then once we started receiving thousands of data points as to how people were reacting to it, it was getting a reasonable star rating where most people really liked it. And it was one of the most relaxing experiences on Liminal. So that really gave us a little bit of confidence. And then I think we started looking at some of the research behind blue light and really the biology of eyelids, right? Like I think in many ways, from the perspective of Liminal, the sleep category has been the most, I think, like hardcore neuroscience and biology category where we've really stripped everything back and we're like, okay, what is it possible to do? Like, did you want to maybe speak to some of the research around the whole eyelids and blue light and that kind of thing?
Sure. So I remember we were doing some research and trying to find like what type of light we could use that will kind of pass the barrier of the eyelids. So we found some research saying that, for example, I think red light is about 5.6% of the red light goes through your eyelids compared to 0.3 of blue light and green light. So that's one thing that we were like, okay, so then we can use red light, for example, to kind of stimulate the brain while we have the eyes closed. Regarding to blue light, well, there's a lot of research. There's a lot of research and also anecdotal things in the on the internet. To the, like, for example, the filters at night filters and stuff, that some of people said that it's not as beneficial as it should be. That basically what we need to do is just dim the lights of our room and also use warm color lights, red, yellow lights to help us to calm and help us with our circadian approach. Well, but yeah, I don't know specifically what else. Well, we did a lot of research on how the eyes, how the different parts of the eye filter the light, and also a lot of experimental in-house experiments of checking which type of lights, how the lights can, the different movements of the lights could help us to not only make you see things in the environment, but also how does that, how we could tie that with experiences and the guided meditation and the music. Like, it's not only just light and music, is the light needs to be in time and precise and guide you and help you in the whole experience. It's kind of a lot of the process that goes behind the only one experience, basically.
Yeah, and I think that's a really great point, Paola. And it's also like important to realize, because initially when we started talking to people about it, some people I think misunderstood in the sense that they thought we were using maybe a Quest 2 as like a giant, blindfold, and just listening to audio. But I think one of the things that also helped guide this was the fact that, 30-40% of our brain is like focused on like visual processing stuff. It's such a big part of how humans work. So it was really about trying to find that balance between stimulating the visual processing part of the brain, because oftentimes, if you especially if you can't sleep, you can't just make yourself sleep. You can't will yourself to sleep. So it's like, how can we engage that whole part of the brain that focuses on visual processing without like bombarding people with blue light. So we found this sort of happy medium approach. But also, it's not our only approach, right? Like I know we've done an experimental approach with cozy cabin as well. So like one of the when we launched the sleep category, because this was quite a novel approach with the eyes closed stuff. Out of the 4 launch experiences, one of them was actually a slightly tweaked version of Cozy Cabin from the calm category, and we did that for a couple of reasons. One is because although we are relatively passionate, well, not relatively, like we are passionate about the eyes closed approach. We also knew that it wouldn't be for everyone. Like, some people just want to be immersed in environments and do stuff, but also Cozy Cabin, which is an experience where you're sitting on this train going through the Scottish Highlands, when sorted by relaxation, it was the most relaxing experience in the calm category. So we really wanted to put all of these like new approach sleep experiences side by side with the most relaxing experience from the calm category, so that we can compare them and you know, see how they differ and pros and cons. But one of the interesting approaches we did with Cozy Cabin was also the blinking mechanic, right? So that was something that we experimented with, and again, it has been we've had some people that absolutely love it, and you know, it is the most relaxing experience right now in calm. And then, but some people also hate it. Like we've had emails from people saying, "Can you just remove the blinking? I love being on the train, but I hate the blinking." So yeah, I don't know. Like, what are your thoughts on that, Pal? Do you just speak about the blinking mechanic and the approach to Cozy Cabin?
Yeah. Okay. Well, basically, like the blinking is just like the screen going black, but in a way that simulates the blinking of your eyes.
Mhm.
And that blinking during the experience goes slower and slower, right? So we're trying kind of to prompt the user to follow the blinking to kind of calm them and relax them. So yeah, as you said, it's a really controversial feature that some people love it and some people hate it. And it's fair, and it's normal, and we are expecting that people will like some experiences and hate others, because we are so different as well. So that with that in mind, I guess that's why we have the eyes closed experiences in the liminal, in the sleep arena, and that one that is the eyes open, and we will continue having more eyes open experiences because of that, like because we need to make sure that everyone can have something, can find something for them. In talking more about the blinking, in my opinion, I'm one of the ones that love it, because I feel like if I actually follow it, it makes me feel calmer or relaxed, or for sleep specifically, sleepier.
Yeah.
I still can't say specifically why or how is this working, because we need to do more research. But I guess, and this is me just talking without research, right? This is just me talking to you and like in a friendly conversation. I think it could be something related to, like, same as yawning, when you yawn and you make other people yawn, and is that like you make people feel a bit sleepy as well with that. It could be some system similar to that, but we don't know. But if some people like it, why not having it?
Yeah, it's an ongoing. So it's in some ways it's remarkable that Liminal has such a high star rating. So we're currently 4.3 overall on the Metascore, because we take this approach that we have a wide variety of experiences that we know that certain people hate certain experiences. So for those listening who probably wouldn't be aware of a lot of the inner workings of Liminal, Paola often goes through like probably around once a month. She'll go through the all the results that we've been getting for different experiences, and we do have, like, if something is performing, is underperforming, where it's very clear that it's not resonating with people, and it's got a poor enjoyability rating, and it's not getting many plays, we'll actually pull experiences. So I think over the last 3 or 4 years, we've pulled around 11 experiences from the Liminal platform that were just really not performing to a standard that we thought was reasonable. However, it's very difficult because we have to balance that with people just absolutely loving some experiences that like aren't performing super well, that maybe most people don't like, but some people are really gravitating to, and even internally at Liminal, so that there are experiences that I love. Like, for example, I love an experience called light rain, right? So I love light rain. I love going in there, seeing all the sort of particles, float up and then rain down, and just stand in that environment. And I think that's currently around, 24th, ranked 24th in the calm category. There are, some others that are even, ranking lower than that I really, really love. And sometimes when we pull experiences that are really like, tanking from the perspective of metrics, we'll have an email from one of our, someone in the community is like, where's that experience gone? I love that. And then we also have people emailing us about the exact same experience, with one person saying, it's oh my God, that's amazing. It's the best thing I've ever used in VR. Can you do more of that? And then someone else saying, look, I really love Liminal and what you're doing, but what the hell were you thinking with that experience? It's awful. So it's really been, finding this balance where, and that's why we've got an approach where we have so many different types of experiences where people can find things that they love and gravitate to. And it's also okay if there's something on there that might not be for you, but you can see that other people are enjoying it. So that's been, I know we have lots of debates, where you'll say, hey, what should we do about this one experience? It's kind of borderline. Do we leave it on there, or do we pull it?
Yeah. Yeah, it's really interesting how different, like the comments that we receive from different people, and how one experience can be that, like, and those extremes, right? Like other experiences don't make waves, but then there's certain experiences that go from I love it to I hate it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, no, it's true. And I think in regards to I think just the general workflow at Liminal, I think it's interesting because one of the approaches that we took really early on is, we started doing all this research, and we were holding all of that really close to our chest. Like, this is our, like, the I guess, like, almost like the secret spices for the KFC, recipe or something. But then, as we continued to prototype in the early days, it was these basic principles that kept popping up. And then, we decided to sort of shift a little bit and simplify our research, and launch this global partnership program that we've been working on since 2017 with people all around the world. So, like, it's interesting how Liminal works in the sense that we've taken an approach where it's all like evidence-based, right? Where it's like, okay, we know that these things work for different reasons, or and then there might be some more questionable things, like you were just talking about with the blinking. It's almost like that term, dust bowl empiricism, right? That we were talking about the other day. It's like, we can see that that's working. We're not exactly 100% sure about the science behind it, and then there are other, even maybe more experimental things that can have even more salient effects. I know you and I sometimes, we probably shouldn't talk too much about this, but we do very experimental things in with headsets that has, I know me personally, has been like had very, very intense effects, on cognitive processing ability and things like that. So we have, although I guess what I'm trying to say is, for those who are listening, we have this grounding in science and neuroscience and psychology, but we also have an open approach with all of our partners, where it's like, yes, this is a grounding in science, but here are the principles, so you can go away and build upon those principles yourself, and see what you come up with. And then, because of the unique nature of Liminal with our psychometrics, we're testing everything, and we're seeing in with real data what works and what doesn't. So it's both a very, I guess, academic pursuit on one hand, but then on the other hand, we even have teams of students from different universities that are able to tap into that hardcore research and interpret that with their own creativity, and use those very basic principles to create impressive things.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, that's true. That's true. And I just want to mention, like, it's hard to find a specific research just for virtual reality, right? So what our psych docs are like, it's a combination of different areas of research that you can use in virtual reality. Then how is gonna play, then it's different, right? Like you can say like, okay, I don't know, just to put an example, using blue in your house calms you down, for example. It's just by saying that. But that doesn't mean that if you use it in virtual reality, that will have the same effect. So that's another step that we have been taking, right? Like this is the evidence-based research out there, and then we put it in virtual reality, and then we tested it in our own arenas and even in our own lab. So we have a specific lab where we test different approaches to see how people feel when particles are coming down at a certain speed. Like maybe some particles, like certain difference in the speed makes people feel different, even if the particles are coming down or if the particles are coming up or further away from you, etc. So I guess that's another important part of our research and our psych docs that we share with our partners as well.
Yeah, look, 100%. And from the very beginning too, that's been, you touched on something that's been another juggling act for us is, because ideally you want to be as reductionist as possible when you're giving people instructions or advice on how to create UXs to induce specific emotional or cognitive states. But there are limitations to reductionism. Like I think it was like Steven Pinker once in one of his books, he said that you could reduce World War II into a very, very, very large and complex interaction of quarks in subatomic particles, but that doesn't tell you anything useful about World War II, right? So I think with reductionist thinking, at the beginning, we were thinking, oh, well, look, if you're creating an energizing experience, use like this range of beats per minute, like maybe use these instruments and not that. But then, when you take that on face value, you can create something very repetitive and actually grating, after a certain amount of time. And then I think, especially with things like color that you mentioned, like that was interesting because we did run that sort of large scale, the world's largest color emotion study in partnership with the Florey Institute of Neuroscience and Mental Health. And that was really interesting in the sense that we put 750 people in VR and exposed them to 3 different rooms. So a cube of pure color, like an abstract cube, a clinical waiting room, and a domestic lounge room. And one of the interesting findings from that study was how the environment that we're in affected our emotional perception of color, right? So as you mentioned, like color light blue is calming in a living room, but in a clinical waiting room, it was the most anxiety-inducing color. So again, talking about a reductionist approach, sort of early on, we would share just the classic color emotion research, and at a high level, it's like, look, saturation is more important than hue. So I guess how bright and colorful something is usually indicates whether it's lively. And if something is more muted in general, people refer to it as calming. But then, like we were sharing that with our partners too, and then we're getting experiences where people were like creating an underwater, like a coral reef, but all the coral was in muted colors, right? And they weren't doing anything wrong. They were just following the research that we had provided. But again, like you can't take a reductionist approach like that. It's completely fine to have a very colorful coral reef, and that's calming because it's in context of that environment.
Yeah, context is the key, I guess, in that example there. But as that example, that's a lot of other things like sound, binaural beats, etc. So it depends how you combine them to create the experience in virtual reality. It's different, like when you just look at the research by itself, like, okay, just music to calm. Yeah, but what does that music with this color and this environment does? And that's why I guess Liminal, the data that we collect at Liminal gives us a lot of information to share with our partners and the community.
Yeah, it's really nice. Like and so internally at Liminal, so what usually happens is we try, and we don't always get there every week, but our internal aim is to release like a new experience every week. Sometimes it's every 2 weeks. It really depends, because we're constantly juggling resources as to whether we're going to launch a new category, or fix a bug, or features that people have requested. But we'll launch an experience, and then we'll have like internal bets, right, as to how the experience is going to perform, and we people will say, oh, I think that this will be top 3. Others will be like, I think maybe number 15. And then every now and then you have a smarty pants that rolls the dice and just gives us a random number. And sometimes we have a pretty good idea whether something's going to perform really well, but sometimes we're just like blown away, right? And just really surprised that something has performed the way that it has, and that's given us like unique insights as to new experiences that we could create. Yeah,
that's true. And if we talk about, I don't want to finish without saying this information. If we talk about our sleep arena, even though it's the most recent one, and we have relatively smaller sample size compared to the other arenas, we are receiving really good results. Like almost 70% of people reported falling asleep during a reasonable time after using some of the experiences, which is, I think, is a great statistic. I hope it holds in the future with more data points, and it becomes more stronger than it is now. But it's great to see those statistics and those numbers.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, we didn't get into the whole how we rank experiences. I'm not going to start that conversation in a lot of detail with like 5 or 6 minutes to go. But what I can say is that when all the experiences on Liminal, there's we rank them based on performance, on feedback that we get from users, and we also make all of that transparent. So when you're in Liminal and you go to an experience, you can see how people reported feeling before using it and how they reported feeling after using it, and how much they enjoyed it. And we make that transparent for everyone. So it's in many ways, Liminal is very Darwinian in the sense that you can't hide, right? Like it doesn't, like there are some experiences that I've designed that are like the worst performing experiences in a category. So even if you're the CEO, you can't hide from the psychometrics. But it is like sleep in particular was a very difficult category to work out the ranking, because we have people that report they can't sleep, people that report that they're preparing for sleep, and then people that report that they're using it for other reasons or for deep relaxation. And then we have to take all those different data points and create a formula that we feel will rank the experiences in a way that is beneficial to our users and gives a good idea of what's working and what's not. But yeah, I guess without going into the details of the nuts and bolts of the formula that we had worked out before launching the category actually turned out to mean that pretty much all the eyes closed experiences have been performing better based on that formula than the eyes open cozy cabin experience, even though that's performing very well. Yeah, so it was really interesting and a confirmation to see that, and we'll probably continue tweaking those formulas as we get like more data in with this category, and we continue to have long heated debates in the office about what we should wait and what we shouldn't, and things like that. But it has been good to see that this sort of novel approach that we've taken has resonated with people, although others have been a little bit more wary of it, and it is performing well based on sort of predefined formulas that they would come up with.
Yeah, true. I think just the next step for us will be figuring out how we can manage with the technology. Like, we have some difficulties with the technology per se, like just equipment per se. Like yesterday, I was just using the one of the sleep experiences, and I need, like, my light turns off automatically.
Yeah.
And when it turns off, it, like, the headset cannot what is it? It cannot track the it cannot track the things. So then it went out of the experience. So it was like, yeah, what is this? So those little things that we can't control, but I wish we could. Yeah. We'll see with the new technology coming up.
Yeah, and also look, it's we're learning it as we're going as well. Like, we've been doing this for 9 years, but in many ways it feels like we're just starting. Now that we have many thousands of regular monthly users, and we're collecting all this data, and we're doing all this R&D. It's it's exciting time. So I think, Paola, we're probably coming up to the end of our time now. So I guess thank you for anyone who's been listening, and apologies for the delay at the start. It was our first LinkedIn Live. But yeah, it's been like, as always, Paola, it's a pleasure chatting with you, and like these types of conversations that we often have in the office. I think it'd be good for us to maybe have some more of these public conversations where we talk about different things happening at Liminal and what we're working on. But yeah, look, thanks for the chat, and I'll speak to you soon, and thanks for everyone for listening.
Bye, everyone.